we are.
Oh, crap. Did I do that?
I don't know.
Right.
We're live.
We are live. I did not know that we went live so quickly like that. I want to know too if we are live on YouTube. Gonna jump over here.
Let me check Twitter. Yeah, we are.
I see you on Twitter. Yeah.
Okay. That's one of two.
That's one of two. We're seeing, guys. Hey, everybody, let's jump in here. We are currently just checking to see if all of our live streams are going correctly on the YouTubes.
Still working out all the kinks.
It is. It says it's live streaming right now on the YouTubes.
That is wonderful.
All right, everybody, welcome in. I need introduction. This man to my right, wow, it is inverted. Look at that. I'm pointing to my right, so I need to. This man over here needs no introduction. He is the man that never misses. Nick Carnes is gracing us tonight, and every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday.
My Stefanski Barry 20 shirt right here. You know, representing That's What B Said on the back there for you. That's my Stefanski Barry shirt. That's what we're doing tonight. We've got the Nick Chubb Kool-Aid.
Ooh.
Nick Chubb cup from B-Dubs. That's what we're doing today. I am Jacob. For you, those of you who do not know, this is our draft recap show. This is our first official show. We are very, very excited to have you guys here.
We are.
We are so excited. I was just catching up. Nick, I was on Twitter, and before we get into the good stuff, there's a Twitter feud going on right now involving the great Nick Carnes over here. Is there anything you want to say about this dude who has attacked you using what I believe is a homophobic slander that he threw out there that was just inappropriate? Of course, he does not have his real name or his real face. But
somebody's
already noticed, by the way. They have already noticed that you're double fisting. So
I have water and I have coffee, right? And so I don't know. It's just like it's the show combination, especially very long story. I sleep during the day, so I'm booting back up right now, and so but this guy. So today we are talking. I was thinking about. Leading into the draft, coming from the draft, and like where the rest of the teams are in the AFC North. Well, all of them. And it dawned on me that the Browns are the only one of the four that are bringing back all of their offensive starters, which I mean is crazy when you think about it.
It's especially in Cleveland unheard of.
Yeah. And it wouldn't surprise me if and I did not look at the rest of the NFL because that would take I just didn't. But it wouldn't surprise me if there's maybe like 2 or 3 total teams in the NFL as a whole that are bringing back all their entire offense from the previous year.
The only one that is significant that I know of is Tampa Bay because they're bringing back nearly their entire. I think they're bringing back their entire Super Bowl roster in terms of starters. I'm not 100% sold on that one. Yeah. I need to jump over here. Okay, so he made that comment. A Steelers fan jumped all up in his mentions, said some very they're not good things. If you guys want to I wanted to throw a shout out to Bree, who's in there just firing zingers back there, defending your boy Nick over there.
Rel too. I gotta say, Rel
is right there with
real MVP, and Bree, the team Rel Bree, however you want to do that.
Yeah.
But
I said something, and I said Nick didn't even say anything, and I realized you did say something about the Steelers, and so I was like, I'm not being any help. I'm getting the hell out of here. So we're going to talk about the draft. I think the Browns had an absolutely amazing draft. We're going to talk about that. Hit us up, throw those questions up there over there. I'll throw them on the screen. We'll talk to them. So we're started on the draft. I've learned how to do some really cool captions on here, so we're going to do some cool stuff. So we'll start with the first round, right? I did a poll on my Twitter. I do Browns poll Mondays, and I just do some very basic Browns questions. I like the interactions that I have with people. Several weeks ago, I posed the question involving the three somewhat injury-prone guys that potentially could fall to Cleveland. Greg Newsom being one of them. Greg Newsom, Jalen Phillips, and Caleb Farley. The other two did not. Right. And I remember you were of the opinion that Greg Newsom's injury risks in history were less severe, seemed more likely that he could overcome them. And so to me, I think that Greg Newsom being there at 26 was kind of wild. I think some guys I did not see Jamin Davis and Zaven Collins going in the first round at all. Honestly, I didn't. And then they go higher. I know Arizona was enamored with a couple of the corners. I know they really liked J.C. Horn and hoped he would fall to 16, which is like we had talked about. If J.C. Horn fell and we wanted to try to acquire him, you were going to have to move up to at least 15 to jump Arizona. So Greg Newsom falls to the Browns, and I think this is a situation that you do not see almost ever, in which the best player available, in my opinion, on the board at 26 was Greg Newsom. And he was at the biggest need. The Browns' biggest need was easily corner. And here we are needing Greg Newsom. I think the injury concerns worry me. I've said that a million times. Sure. But his injury concerns are nothing like Caleb Farley's, who potentially has to have a third. I'm hearing potentially now a third cleanup procedure on his back before he ever plays at 21 years old. I think Greg Newsom, if you look at the stats, him with Ward, and it's a big if these guys stay healthy, this is you remember the AFC Championship Jaguars with AJ Boye and Jalen Phillips. That's what I'm thinking this tandem potentially can give you.
Yeah. Oh, that was led by Jalen Ramsey, yeah?
Yeah, Jalen Ramsey on one side and AJ Boye on the other, yep.
Yeah. Man, thinking about that, I'll tell you what. I think it's been so long since. I mean, so it's like even before Denzel Ward, the Browns have Joe Hayden, right? And so it's like we always had, or at least for most of recent Browns history, I think we had one corner we could look to and say, well, at least they're good, right? but it's been a long time since you could look at the Browns secondary and say, wow, there are 4 or 5 guys that you can very, very much rely on in this group. So I'm really excited about the thought of it. I saw the stat. I don't want to misquote the stats, but and I know so granted the college season was shorter than normal, but I saw Newsom gave up less than 100 yards receiving on the year and no touchdowns.
The last 4 games that Greg Newsom played in college, which included the Big Ten championship game against Ohio State, he let up 1 catch. Yeah,
that's crazy.
And I don't care. It's a shortened season, but that's a 4-game sample size. That's a quarter of the NFL season. Well,
yeah,
not anymore. That's almost a quarter of the season, and he let a catch, including against a team that has Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and all of these weapons at catch. He's on their top guy. I think Greg Newsom's pick is really getting overshadowed by their day 2, and we're going to get to that. But I do have a couple of comments I want to throw up on the screen. And this comment, that should end all the Steelers fans' arguments. We have this situation right here. Right there. I'm really messed up with the inverted screen. This comment right here, offensive line that they have, and you tell me that we're the ones that are delusional.
Andrew Berry.
Good.
Oh, sorry, Jacob. Andrew Berry is never in a million years taking a running back in the first round, which the Steelers taking one in the first round makes me even happier.
Yeah, and you got Nick Chubb in the second round. Like, that's all you just need to be reminded of. You know what? I agree with you. I think it is Super Bowl or bust. It definitely feels like Super Bowl or bust here. Comment from Ed in Columbus. And it is. It's refreshing. Like, I remember faux pas of the 2019, because I've heard some people, interestingly enough, bring up the the 2019 season and the expectations and how they fell short in relation to this 2020 squad. And to those people, I say that the argument is fair. I do say that you have to, like, I love this Browns draft. Give them an A. I do think they need to get on the field before you can fully say where we are. Yeah. Because of that, though, here's the thing. In 2019, they were coming off of going 7-8-1. They hired a guy that had never been a head coach. He had barely been a coordinator. He was calling someone else's plays. He brought in Ryan Lindley, who had 4 games of NFL experience to tutor the number. And I know you talked about Ryan Lindley recently, which is why I brought that up. But you know what I'm saying, right here, I just gave you 4 things, and I didn't even touch into how that caused the Freddie year to be the Freddie year. Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, they are not the same people. This team is not the same. That 2019 team did not have an offensive line. This team won 11 games in a playoff last year and then got better.
I like to say, because I've had this conversation a couple of times on Twitter, and I like to say that 2019, when everyone got excited, that was all based, and fairly enough, but that was all based on hype. Right, everyone's like, "Oh my God, we got Odell Beckham. We have a quarterback who just set the rookie touchdown record." Although I guess that's fact, but overall, right, the sample size from that season was just half a year, and I feel like you had not seen it on. You had not seen the Browns go above 500. You had not seen the Browns win a playoff game. You did not have you had a new coach coming in instead of the returning coach of the year, right? And so it's like here we sit and we have so much more, and we haven't even talked about how most grades say Andrew Berry knocked it out of the park last year in the draft, and now he's got incredibly high marks in this draft, right? So it's like when you think about all those things,
good.
When you think about all those things, it's just this is so much more based in tangible proof that this is legitimate.
Then just hope that they can continue to figure it out. If you look at PFF put out today that the Browns are the only team to get an A in the 2020 and 2021 draft, according to their grading module. And I understand PFF isn't in everything, but I do love the metrics because the metrics that PFF use are analytically driven, which are the same metrics that the Browns use. So let's move on to what my poll decided by 67% of the vote was everybody's favorite draft pick.
You got a lot of votes too.
Yeah, almost 1,500. It was phenomenal, the conversations I was able to have off of this. I was so grateful to everybody that participated. I had like 29 comments, several of which were ongoing conversations that I had with people. But Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker, I don't like to call him a linebacker. I like to call him a hybrid. He's an oversized safety and an undersized linebacker that brings the boom. I'll tell you that right now. Jeremiah definitely brings the boom. We have one moment down here. This is the key. This is the key, Ed. I'm with you 100% on this, that if Denzel stays healthy and he's healthy in the playoffs, and I'll even piggyback off that. If he is healthy, if Delpit is healthy, or not, no. If he and Greg Newsom are healthy come playoff times, I don't see an issue with the Browns making it a deep playoff round. So I went to my dad's Friday night. I'm yelling into the camera or the microphone again. I went to my dad's Friday night to watch the second round of the draft when JOK started to fall. I think when JOK got to 50, when 50 got read and it wasn't JOK, I thought, this could be real. Like this really feels like it has the potential to be real. And then when 51 the pick was in and they were walking out to read 51, you had the little ticker of who was the next selections. And you could see that the next selection now said Cleveland.
Yeah.
And I said, before they had announced it, right? Like none of the people had brought it up. Like I think I was going back and forth, and I think at the time I may have been watching ESPN, and so Greeny had not said anything about it, but I looked over, my dad was sitting in the chair next to me, and I said, Cleveland's right there, man. And at this point, Rondell Moore had gone, because I really think they wanted Rondell Moore. And I'll talk about that when we get to And I think we'll talk about that when we get to the Anthony Schwartz pick next. But when they slid up to 52, I thought they're really about to get Newsom and JOK. And
you know what?
I cheered.
I was with a lot of people for the draft, and when it showed the Browns traded up, there was just like this collective excitement.
Yeah.
And they're like, this has to be JOK, right? This has to be him.
Yeah.
And because something stuck with me. I was watching I think it was the ESPN recap of day one, and they said, okay, so who's the best left going into day two? And it was near unanimous that I'm going to try it. Jeremiah Owusu Koramoah.
Yep.
We're working on it. It's a work in progress. But it's near and unanimous that he was the top prospect left. And so then we were talking about it a little bit before the draft, and we're like, there's no way that he's going to fall all the way down. And so then we start getting a little later, and we see that the Browns have traded up, and we're like, he's still there, isn't he? Yeah. Sure enough. Yeah. And here we are.
When you somehow manage, and I'll address kind of the reasons I think he fell and all that other stuff here in a second, but when you somehow manage, and Paul DePodesta confirmed it, right? When you somehow manage to draft two guys that you considered at your first round pick, DePodesta admitted they considered taking JOK at 26. And I truly wholeheartedly believe if Greg Newsom's not there, because that's a bigger position of need in my opinion, if Greg Newsom is not there, I think JOK is probably the pick at 26. And when you think about what I think was a robbery by Andrew Berry just in the trade up, think about this trade up for a second. He's at 59. He slides up to 52 for a guy that a lot of people had as high as 10th overall on their draft board. He slides up from 59 to 52. He gives up a 3, but he did swap a 3 with a 4. He swapped 89 for 113 to slide up there and take what a lot of people arguably believed was a top 10 talent. And, I'll let you talk a little bit on what you think about the whole robbery there of the trade, and then we'll kind of get into the injury or not the injury, the reason we think he may have slid.
My favorite thing is that I'm not positive of which third this was. I probably should know that, but the year previous, it's like Andrew Berry lays the framework for this by moving down just a few spots with New Orleans and picking up their third for his trouble. And so it's crazy to me how so Andrew Berry was able to get a third round pick for moving down just a little bit in the second round. But then for him to move up farther than New Orleans did in the previous year, he didn't even have to get. He gave up less.
Yeah.
What? I mean, if that's not winning, the amount of value that he gained compared to what he gave up is not even close.
And that's without even really getting into the player that you got with the pick. That's just the draft value you got from the trade. We got, and I knew this. I knew Ed in Columbus was going to be a JOK fan. And, I'm with you, man. I'm with you because I got to tell you, me and my dad were absolutely loving what the Macho Fan was doing up there. Like, and then I realized that he was wearing a mask of Macho Man Randy Savage's face over his face. And I was like, I looked at because I didn't realize until I noticed his mouth wasn't moving at all. And I looked at my dad and I said, is he wearing a mask of his face over his over his face? Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%. That's what he's doing. I'm like, that is. I've seen some people wear that, wear those out in public, and I think they're hilarious. So I mean, I'll give you my kind of thoughts. Listen, I saw Pete Smith talk about this, and I truly think, and of course, this heart stuff comes out, but now he said, JOK said today on Jim Rome that had not come up during the draft process, and it did not have anything to do with the sliding. Here's the thing. I know a lot of teams, like there was a lot of teams I've heard were not going to take Jalen Phillips because it was a concussion issue. Regardless of the talent, I think a lot of teams were out on him. Obviously, he still goes very high. I think he's a hell of a player. And if Andrew Berry had signed off on it, I would have signed off on it. But,
Absolutely.
So there's probably some truth into the potential heart condition. And I told Nick this off air. Some people, I think, hear heart condition and instantly are just terrified. And somewhat rightfully so. But I had a heart condition. I still do. I have an irregular heartbeat that sometimes causes intense chest pain. Early on in my military career, actually in high school, it first hit me in high school and it affected my football playing. But I was a tiny little, spit fuck, so it didn't really matter anyway. But my playing weight in my senior year of high school was 110 pounds. Like, come on. It was not the heart condition that made me suck. I suck. But so I had it flare up during a company run. I was forced to see a cardiologist and put on a dead man's profile. And if, for those that don't know what a dead man's profile means, it basically means you're not allowed to do anything physical in the military because they don't want your family to sue. But I was cleared. I still have that heart condition. I went on to do 7 more years and a tour in Afghanistan. So from a guy that has had a minor condition, I don't know what his is, but the fact that he was cleared makes it think that it's potentially somewhere along the lines of the minorness of what I had. So it doesn't scare me. I think it's fit. I think Isaiah Simmons and JOK are very similar in that they do all of this stuff well. And then you see Isaiah Simmons, it was a situation where Arizona had no idea how they were going to use him.
Yeah.
And I think some people kind of got scared by that. And some people didn't know what they were going to do. They did not know what they were going to do with them or if they knew how to use them. Nick, just go ahead and turn yourself over. I know they're coming for you.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. I live on a hill where the police are always all times of the night. So I'm actually surprised. I actually had to check to see if it was me or you that had the police coming for us. So yeah, like I think people were just worried about not knowing how to use this kind of a unicorn. And the unicorn, I've always heard, jack of all trades, master of none. And I wonder if a lot of people kind of thought that. We've got some stuff popping up over here. Let's address this real quick, and we'll get Nick's thoughts on the JOK slide. Trench here says that I have an irregular.
I think we might have. Well, I'm not sure if we lost Jacob or not. Oh, no. He's trying. He's doing his best here. Well, a little bit of technical difficulties. So I'm just going to kind of. Yep. Okay. So. Oh, here. You're back.
I'm on the other side now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you've moved to the other side.
Okay.
At least it kept going, right? So there's certainly worse things. Okay, we're still working out because he was here for a second, but oh, he's trying. Maybe. No? Okay. Just kind of in the meantime, until until Jacob's internet cooperates with him. I just no. Okay. Yeah. So we're back to. Oh, are we back?
I think we're back.
Okay. Yeah. Looks like.
Hold on. I'm going to reset yours because you're froze.
Oh, okay.
No, you appear.
Am I back?
You're back, but you also still appear to be froze. I don't know.
I'm moving on mine. I'm not sure. You know what? It wouldn't be exciting without some technical difficulties.
No, it wouldn't, especially because we were just starting to get several interactions. Let me go over here and check the. There you go. You're moving. We're good. We're back.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. I have crappy internet at my apartment complex, but my wife and I got good news. Our home we're trying to buy did pass inspection, so now we're just waiting for the appraisal. Fingers crossed, then we should be in the place in July. So we're going to go back.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Trent said you just learned to manage it and monitor it. And he also says that we are both moving now, so he's got everything going down. I agree. You just learn to monitor it. If you start feeling chest pain, don't be a hero. Let's see.
Yeah.
Ed's coming back. Yes. Past Browns players had a heart condition. They had no heart.
Wow. Appreciate that, Ed.
He got rid of the funny thing was I had it, of course, before I threw it up there, and then I still read it live on air and didn't. Matt with some kind words.
Appreciate that. I wanted to add two things to the JOK conversation.
Absolutely.
The first one, the first one is that I was reading a little bit about you were saying, Jacob, that Isaiah Simmons and JOK are similar. But obviously Simmons, for being as high of a pick as he was, 9 overall, if I'm not mistaken, 8 overall, so did not give them the return in year one that they were looking for. Didn't play a bunch of the snaps. And I was reading about that, and basically it said that when Arizona drafted him, they drafted him based on his talent and not necessarily based on the fact that he fit into what their defensive scheme currently was.
Yeah.
But then it looked at the Browns scheme and Joe Wood's scheme, and it said that the Browns already have like a kind of rover position that works in the defense. So it makes a way more sense for the Browns to draft JOK than it did for the Cardinals to draft Isaiah Simmons.
Yes, I'm completely with you on that. 100% with you on that one. And you know what? Oh, I thought I was going to sneeze. So they knew, it comes back to, they knew what they were going to do with JOK. The Cardinals had no idea what they were going to do with Isaiah Simmons. If you have no idea how to use a player, Go take one you know how to use. That's the only thing that's like, that's where I'm personally coming from. Just go get one that you know how to use. I had a thought on JOK. If you are not a subscriber to the OBR, I will say that you are wrong. But if you haven't, go over to the OBR and check down. Jake Burns does film breakdowns, and you can go on their Twitter. He put some of the stuff on the OBR film breakdowns Twitter, which is his podcast talking about the film that he breaks down. JOK's ability to play the slot. Like, that's a big dude to play slot receivers, and he is incredible. Yep. I was reading a comment over. He is incredible in the slot on those hooks and those curls. The thing is that shred the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
JOK does not allow. It's over here that this is the difference between. Yeah. It's worth saying that's where there was disconnect in Arizona, and it's worth saying down here. They draft the talent and they lean on the coaches to develop. And if that's where I think the Browns are finally have it right. Hey, did you watch any of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski's joint press conferences during the draft?
I heard a little bit of it, but I did not. I did not get to specifically sit down and watch everything that they said.
So, to me, it's not even anything they specifically said on any of the players or anything. What it breaks down to is they are basically, the cold cliche. They finish each other's sentences. They say the same things. They use the same terminology. They get each other. They're on the same page. They genuinely work together.
So and you can look, and there's so much evidence of this already. Which, I think this is the first time it's happened in Cleveland in a long time. But okay, so look at what Andrew Berry does when he first comes in, right? We know that Kevin Stefanski wants to run a specific offense. So there Andrew Berry goes out and he signs Andy Janovich. We know that he wants to run a dual tight end, heavily dual tight end offense, right? So There you go. You get Austin Hooper, and then you bring in Harrison Bryant, and you've already got David Njoku. We know that Bill Callahan is specifically great at helping tackles switch from right to left and has been proven to be successful with that. And so then you draft Jedrick Wills, and voila, you have a top 10 pass blocking left tackle. Right. So there's already evidence showing that they work together, and Andrew Berry is specifically getting players that fit into the scheme that they want to run. Mm-hmm. So when the Browns draft JOK and you say, okay, well, what's his position? How is he going to fit in? I'm inclined to believe the same line of thought that JOK fits specifically into what Joe Woods wants to run and the scheme that they feel like they're going to be successful. And that it will not be like Arizona because of that. And not to skip ahead, but I was reading about Tony Fields. I always forget his first name, but Fields.
It's Tony Fields. Yeah, I know exactly where you're going with this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they were actually they were saying that he has a lot of similarities to JOK. And so obviously they looked at this skill set and they said, this is what we need for our defense. This fits into what we want to do, because you drafted two players that do have similar skill sets.
The first time, Ed, that JOK successfully covers Mark Andrews this year, I will throw a party.
Oh my God. Resident Browns killer, Mark Andrews.
I will throw it. I will get into what you just said about Tony Fields when we get to him in round 5, but I definitely know what you're going to say, and I have thoughts on that. Now, let's get into the Anthony Schwartz thing. Let's move along a little bit to round 3. What have I said? I know Nick, he's that way. Nick echoed the stuff as well we need speed, man. We need separation. We need speed. I think Rondale Moore was the guy. There was a lot of rumblings out there that Rondale Moore was the guy, and they were waiting for him to fall, and they were in a great position because him and JOK were falling. And then when Rondale Moore got traded, they kind of got a little jumpy, and that's why they went up for JOK. And I agree with the move to go up for K, but they didn't want to lose both of them. I thought Anthony Schwartz was more of a day 3 guy. That was he was like, to me, I didn't think round 1 was going to be a spot that they were going to go receiver unless everything else was gone. It was going to be a day 2 thing. But if for some reason they decided to push that off, Anthony Schwartz was the guy. Anthony Schwartz last year was supposed to run sprints in the Olympics. Think about that for a second. Sprints in the Olympics. One time when I was in college, broke 13 seconds and ran a 12.7 on my 100-meter dash. And Anthony Schwartz was it in barely over 10 seconds. And the thing is, at 4.25 speed, it Depends on where you see it. I've seen it in 4.25. Do you understand that Odell Beckham, who is fast, runs a 4.4? Odell Beckham at the combine was a 4.41. Anthony Schwartz is on record of running a 4.27. Some places have him as a 4.25. It depends on where you look. I don't think he is far from a finished product. But the thing about that is he's coming into a team where he's not wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, or even wide receiver 4. He's wide receiver 5, maybe 6, depending on what you do with Kadero Hall. He's the guy that you put on the field 10 times a game. You tell him to run really, really fast. Yeah. And you have to game plan for him. I think it was maybe a little bit of a reach, but you wanted speed. You got the guy that had arguably the most of it in this draft. Andrew Berry identified a need, and I mean, he has time to develop. If this team needed a number 2, needed a number 3, I wouldn't have liked this pick. But I think in this situation, in this scenario, I like the pick a lot. I still only give it a B because he's a very rough product. But a 4.27 speed, man, that's
you know what? And you said it yourself. Olympic speed.
Yeah.
I mean, so when I remember when they drafted him, they said that Anthony Schwartz is unanimously the fastest player in the draft. So I mean, so you've got something valuable. You can't teach speed, but I will tell you what you can teach is route running. And so I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but so I guess well, let me stick to that first. I guess Anthony Schwartz is working out with Jarvis Landry.
He has been since before the draft as well, actually.
A known route technician. Absolutely. If there's one skill that Jarvis Landry has that sets him apart, it's absolutely route running. Mm-hmm. So if Schwartz even picks up even a little bit that helps him develop those routes, I mean, you've already got the speed. All you have to do is expand what you can run, and suddenly you're going to have a guy that can contribute in a big way, in the biggest need that the Browns have offensively.
Yep. The only need I think offensively, I would argue.
Agreed.
Speed.
You know what? I still think about that Kansas City playoff game and the way those corners just gave zero respect to any of our wide receivers to beat them over the top.
Kansas City got away with playing Daniel Sorensen as a single high safety all day.
Oh my God.
And you couldn't make him pay. The one time you made him pay, he had to use a dirty hit to cause a fumble. I'm not going to start that fight again, but you know what I'm talking about, NFL officiating. You know what I'm talking about.
And so you know what? It's no coincidence that the Browns' run game struggled probably as much as it had all season, especially in that first half, when the Chiefs just were like, no, nobody's beating us over the top. We don't care. And so they just had that luxury.
I would argue too, for those that try to act like Baker Mayfield's still mediocre, which he's not. If you want to come to my house and fight me, I'll fight you. I put my phone number on my podcast. So I also have a podcast with my buddy Isaac, who is a Giants fan, the Blue and Orange Football Podcast, presented by Blue Wire Hustle. Selfish plug, not selfless, selfish. And I told Isaac one time on the podcast, I was ranting and raving about Baker Mayfield, and I gave out my phone number. Nobody texted me, but I did give out my phone number, and I was like, fight me. You want to fight about it? Like being a tough guy? Like I'm not a tough guy. I am not. But, I want to get to a couple of these. So my point about Baker Mayfield was, for people that want to say Baker Mayfield is mediocre, go back, watch that Kansas City game. Remember that his wide receivers were providing him zero separation. Watch where he puts those pinpoint accurate passes, and you tell me Baker Mayfield has an average arm. And I'm going to tell you to go to the eye doctor.
All I want to say is the Browns do not even move the ball without absolute dimes from Baker all game long. Those are the hardest throws to make in the NFL, and he just did it repeatedly throughout the game. That's all I want to say. I feel the need. I love it. I love it.
I do.
I can't wait.
Over here, 100%. A deep crosser, the way it's going to pull things away. Yeah, you know. I don't listen to Tony Rizzo a lot, but I do know what his little persona, and the fact that you would compare me to a great man such as that, I'll take that all day. But yes, Wing and Beer spectators only fight at B-Dubs. I only fight at B-Dubs, and if it's a Thursday, I will consider fighting at a TGI Fridays, but only on Thursday.
Quick thought about Anthony Schwartz. Is that something sticks out in my brain too, and just more of Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski being on the same page. Kevin Stefanski said that they want to be balanced on offense, and not meaning they want to run and pass 20 times a game each or whatever, but they want to be able to threaten to run or pass on every down to keep the defense off balance. And I read that Schwartz had I think like 4 rushing touchdowns, 5 maybe. Like he like jet sweeps and stuff like that was something that he excelled in. And so it's just another gadget, another wrinkle that Stefanski is going to be able to throw at them at defenses to keep them off balance. And I'm so excited about that.
I know he had like 300 rushing yards.
Just a little wrinkle, you know? I mean, the Chiefs do that with Tyreek Hill.
So we'll move on to the 2 fourth-round picks. And I'll say this. I have now learned that from now on, the rest of Andrew Berry's tenure, I will not attempt to predict who he drafts in the 4th round because I will be wrong. Last year he took Harrison Bryant. Love the pick. Never would have dreamed he was taking a tight end because of the Njoku and Hooper situation. Yeah. I still understand it. I see where they're going. I still want to extend David Njoku, but
please.
But I get what's happening here, and I wonder. Go over once again Jake Burns' work on James Hudson, and he has several bits of game film from where he actually matched up with Zaven Collins, who I know a lot of Browns fans wanted and was a first-round pick, and he dominated Zaven Collins on more than one occasion. He didn't have a ton of reps against Zaven Collins because he's more of a linebacker, but Zaven Collins does rush the passer from the edge, and he did not have success against James Hudson. James Hudson is a converted defensive tackle, right? And so he's still learning about it. We got the comment down here that Jake Burns is elite, and he 100% is. 100% is. Learning it. I would wonder, too, is there maybe a potential worry about Chris Hubbard, his kneecap situation? Now we're seeing, I've suggested on Twitter that maybe he becomes expendable after I saw Pete Smith say first that with the tackle situation and their tackles tore his Achilles today. Also, the NFL is trying to screw him out of all of his pay because he tore his Achilles away from the facility. So now you don't get any injury money. And first off, shove it up your butt if that's what they do. Shove it up your butt. The guy why was he working out? Was he working out because he's like me and he loves donuts and works in a police department? No, he was working out so he could be good at his damn job. Hey, get the hell out of here. It's a side note. But I wonder if Chris Hubbard's contract, I know they restructured it last year, but we're about to go into an offseason where we're going to need to get a lot of capital in returning our guys. We saw this. Sheldon Richardson wouldn't come down from his cap number. That's why they added yet another D tackle today, and I don't see Sheldon returning at this point because both Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski were on radio today and basically said, oh, yeah, we want him back. We'll see if he wants to come back. And I think this could be a situation where get rid of Hubbard's contract, and even if it doesn't mean someone this year, it gets put into rollover cap so you have even more flexibility next year. I like the Hudson pick. A lot of people think it was kind of a reach. But my understanding is Bill Callahan loves the guy. So
if Bill Callahan likes him, I'd sign me up. I'm not positive if it was Jake Burns, but someone posted film of Hudson working in the zone blocking scheme.
yes,
And
Jake Burns did today. Yeah.
And just mauling people.
Mm.
Right. So yet another example of taking someone in the mid to later rounds that just fits what you want to do.
Yeah.
And so it like, again, it's okay if he needs time to develop. We no longer need 4th round picks to be heroes.
He's like the 5th tackle.
Yeah.
We don't, dude, it's okay. Do what you got to do. Ed, you're right. Keep Chief in town. That is it. That is it right there. We no longer need 4th round picks. You definitely you hit it right on the head. So
I read when the Browns initially signed Jack Conklin, it seemed like it was a shorter term deal. I believe it's 3-year deal. And so I know that the speculation was that Conklin has his eyes on the new TV deal that's going to come on with the NFL, and that he's going to, well, I mean, obviously the guy's an all-pro, so he is going to be expensive. And again, I would love to keep Jack Conklin. I don't know it's even speculating who the Browns are going to be able to keep and who they're not, is very difficult. But I will say that Andrew Berry himself said that the draft is for future building. So giving yourself options, saying, Hudson, he could develop down the road and he could be a tackle. If the Browns need to go that way, Andrew Berry is giving them that option. And so to me, that's insanely valuable.
We're going to move on to our pick just for selfish reasons. Tommy Togiai. Listen, I am not this delusional. I don't want to call people names. I am not such a homer that I'm like there was 2 guys that I was okay with, and one of which we weren't going to there was 2 guys, and it was only if they were tail end of day 2 into day 3 from Ohio State that I was okay. I'm an Ohio State guy that I was okay with. Tommy Togiai being one of them, and then Jonathan Cooper somewhere on day 3. I would have been okay with bringing him in at the edge position. I get lost in some of these fans that because he's Ohio State, bring him to Cleveland. Just because he went to Ohio State doesn't mean he can play. Like a lot of people wanted Shaun Wade, and I think Shaun Wade is not good. I did not want any part of that. If he was in like round 5 or somewhere around there, I think is where he went, I would have been okay with it. But like this was the Ohio State guy that I thought fit, right? Like he is a big man. He did 40 reps of 225 at his pro day. I have one time I did 3 reps of 225 in my pro day. Nobody was there. Nobody cared. But this is a big, strong, athletic. He is a big man that moves like a smaller man. He is brought in to be the 3rd or 4th rotational tackle. Once again, we talk about this with the offensive tackle, now the defensive tackle. He is in the perfect place to grow. If there is steal outside of the JOK situation, but if there is a round, I always think that anybody that is good from day is a steal, period. If they become good. If there's any guy that I think has the highest probability of being a day 3 steal in this draft, it's Tommy Togiai.
I like where you're going with that, because I was reading that Togiai really came on as the season went on, and there's a lot of speculation, but there was speculation that say he comes back, if he elevated his play to the level that he was at towards the tail end of the year, that he could have been drafted. Yeah, that he could have been drafted a lot sooner. So you put him again in a place where he doesn't have to be a hero and can continue to develop like he was. I mean, that's the ideal situation for somebody like this.
Yeah, I would argue even if it wasn't a COVID shortened year.
Oh yeah, sure.
What did they play? 7 games total?
That
7,
sounds right.
something like that. I always block out the last one because that was a freaking nightmare. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to move on to a guy that Nick talked about. Fields. Tony Fields is a guy I mocked to the Browns in round 4 as the only linebacker in the mocks that I had done. In no mock did almost ever that I did hundreds of these mocks, and at no point did JOK ever fall to me at 26, but like maybe 2 or 3 times. So in this situation, we didn't get JOK. Tony Fields was the guy that I was like, listen, I don't think they value true blue linebackers. Tony Fields really isn't a true blue linebacker, but he was the kind of guy I saw fit this role. You drafted JOK to be this hybrid, this rover. Tony Fields is a rover. Tony Fields is undersized as a linebacker, and he's oversized if you would consider him. He does a safety. He does a lot of the same things JOK does, not to the level that JOK does. He's young. He's smart. Andrew Berry talked about this. I see this pop up, and Ed, I have to jump on this for a second because the Steelers always take every Ohio State player that I want in Cleveland. Always.
Yep.
And I told Nick on one of our live shows before we officially started this, I told Nick, I said, the Ravens are going to take Rashad Bateman. And
you did.
I did. And then I was all over myself on Twitter when it did happen. So the Tony Fields situation, a lot of people call him a poor man's JOK. And so if you're going to get a rover, it would be really great if that rover goes down, if somebody else is able to play that position. I think it was a beautifully crafted move in that sense. There's a theme here, right? A lot of these players were 20 and 21 years old with 3+ years of college experience. Tony Fields played 3 years at Arizona, graduated early, and played a year at West Virginia. These are young, intelligent, experienced people. He's got a type, and I got to say, I like it.
I think so. So when the Browns play the Ravens, they like Lamar Jackson. They have zero answer for Lamar Jackson, none whatsoever. And the thing they say about both Tony Fields JOK is that sideline to sideline, they can cover ground. They are fast, and they will chase down whatever is going. And I mean, look no further than Chad Henne running 13 yards on you, because you just don't have the ability. I mean, God, they can't stop Chad Henne, and Lamar Jackson does whatever he wants. I mean, granted, the Browns almost won that second meeting in Cleveland, which what a game that was. But I mean, if they could have just done, Lamar could literally do anything he felt like doing.
Dude got done taking a poop and just killed us. For the record, I've done the poop dance a lot. That was the poop dance.
All I know is this. The Browns, through their actions, Andrew Berry, Joe Woods, are telling us that this is a position, this is a skill type we did not have last year. So not only are we going to take one of them, we're going to take 2.
We're going to have one healthy and on the field. Yeah,
they're no matter what I think we're going to see a very different Joe Woods defense this year. Because you're seeing these scheme specific players are being brought in, because it's no coincidence that I read somebody say that that Tony Fields was West Virginia's JOK. And so it's just no coincidence to me that they prioritized this skill set and they doubled down on it. And so I am so pleased. I referenced it really quick. The Browns always get killed by tight ends, especially Mark Andrews, and they always get killed by any quarterback that has any semblance of mobility. Just eats the Browns alive.
Yeah.
Up until, and so let's get that sideline to sideline player that can finally help us eliminate that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, you're 100% right on the money on that. I mean, it's like they created the position when they drafted JOK, and then they said, "Oh crap, we need a backup." You know,
Yeah.
it was just beautifully. It was really. I'll get into my issue with people, what I believe was mistreatment of Joe Woods, and I saw some more of it on Twitter today. We'll get into that. We have 2 more picks to go through, and we're running close on time. So we're going to get into that, but we'll talk about Joe Woods probably next week, because that's kind of where we're preferencing, kind of where we're going here. This is an interesting pick. I was away from the screen. Actually, real quick, we got a couple of comments I'll throw up here. This is Ed is feeling himself tonight, and I gotta say, I am feeling Ed and his
Yep.
excitement here tonight. I'm liking it. And here's a comment that I, someone mentioned we did to be. That's actually really Deho. That was the road and dealt in Deho's role.
We're trying to keep you with us, Jacob. We're doing our best.
There.
He's trying. Don't worry, we're gonna. This is our first one of these. We're gonna get the technical difficulties worked out here. But I agree. The Browns did not have. They drafted again. They drafted Grant Delpit for a very specific purpose, and obviously they didn't have him. And they drafted JOK for a very specific purpose, and so I'm really excited to see the defense actually able to run the way that Joe Woods wants to. I remember I listened to Ken Carman on 92.3 a lot, and he said something that stuck with me, that defenses take longer to put into action, to really build on, to run the scheme that you want to. And so now here we are, we're going in the year 2, and especially because last year all of the free agency and a lot of the draft, well, not a lot of the draft, but a lot of Andrew Berry's moves seem to favor offense, and you saw the results, right? We saw all of a sudden the Browns offensive line goes from the bottom 5 to number 1 overall, which was massive. We saw the new trio of tight ends that did very well collectively. Oh, we found you again, Jacob. Yes. Yes.
I was watching.
Oh, okay, cool. Love it. Okay, so let's dive back into. I actually don't know how to say Richard's last name. Is it LeCount?
Yeah, look, Richard LeCount, the safety out of Georgia, he presents a very interesting situation, because he was slow in his pro day, but the biggest thing is that he had a accident in October. I want to say it was October, so they say he was still battling and recovering from that. He's physical. Watch Georgia. You look up, LeCount is around the football. He is around the football a lot. He bodies people up. He's physical. He doesn't get pushed around. He plays faster than his 40 would suggest. The question just becomes if there's lingering issues from his accident, if that'll be cleared up. If there, I think it's a pick.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. Because I think Andrew Berry is telling us, that what we all knew is that the Browns defense was largely held together by duct tape and super glue last year.
A little
So
bit of spit and
we're going to fix that problem. Yeah. So I'm curious to see, because Sheldrick Redwine's still there. Haven't seen a whole lot from him. Not sure, not sure where that's at. So I think that this is probably going to be a camp battle. And I'm excited to see who comes out of it. And I love especially because this is all new territory I think for you and I, Jacob, because we're the same age. We've never really seen it where the Browns already have starters in place, and what the GM gets to do with late picks is bring in competition for them. And there's no doubt in my mind that competition brings out the best in everyone. So continue to add depth. I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed down here talking about adding speed to the defense, giving them something that they didn't have last year, and you're right on the money. So let's hit on the final pick for the Browns, Demetric Felton. Listed as a wide receiver when they drafted him. He played primarily as a running back at UCLA. He one of the impact players of the Senior Bowl. If you flip on the Senior Bowl, you will notice Demetric Felton very quickly. We talked about it last week. I talked about it on my podcast that I thought they would add a day 3 running back. In the mix, they would add a day 3 running back. Demetric Felton is what have we talked about all night tonight? Versatility. Demetric better in the slot than he even is as a running back. He can play both of those positions. I think he beats out to Ernest Johnson for the 3rd running back spot. I love Ernest Johnson, but he's got more versatility. He also it's kind of interesting because this kind of makes you think. He kind of mirrors what Kareem Hunt does. Can line up as the slot, can catch out of the backfield, can run the football out of the shotgun, out of the eye. I suggested a reason why they could take a day 3 running back would be if they pay Nick Chubb, and hopefully they do.
Agreed.
If they pay Nick the $7 million hit that Kareem Hunt will have next year, so 2022, may be too rich for them. Bring in a guy like Demetric Felton that can do a lot of the same things. Move on from Kareem Hunt. You have a guy to take that role who has a year in the system. I don't know. It seems a lot of very coincidental to bits. But that's kind of where I feel.
This is a lot of new information. I'm very intrigued by where you're coming from here, Jacob. Wow.
Yeah.
I will say that. So again, we talked about this. There's a lot of ways. Andrew Berry is setting the Browns up to be able to go in many different ways. So I have no idea, but that's a great point because you could. One of the greatest things I think that Kareem Hunt does. Well, aside from his they're both versatile, so we know that. But one of the iconic pictures to me is where he is just taking Spillane into the end zone against the Steelers in the playoffs. Right? Just physical, breaking tackles. What a moment. And the first thing I read about Felton when the Browns drafted him is I wish I could remember the stat specifically, but the guy breaks an insane amount of tackles. I want to say it was like the fourth most broken tackles in college football last year. Something crazy like that. So it's interesting that you say that about Kareem Hunt because you can definitely see similarities there when you compare the two. And the funniest thing to me, I want to share one little thing is when the Browns draft Felton, I'm at a bar where they have ESPN on one TV and the NFL Network on the other TV, and the funniest part about it is ESPN, when the pick comes up, ESPN lists him as a wide receiver, and the NFL Network lists him as a running back. And so
Yes.
I would just look at it. We're like, well, which, what? And so again, that just speaks to his ability to be versatile. And I cannot wait. I love that. As we break down the drafts, I'm realizing more things. They are just bringing in so many players that are versatile, and that is so valuable.
So I look up at I turned off one part of my screen and it darkened my face. I looked up about Demetric Felton because some people talk about him being a little bit of an undersized guy. He racked up 20 plus carries in 4 of the 6 games that they played this year, and in those games he had 132 attempts and he had 36 broken tackles.
Wow.
So they're from his shortened season from this year.
That's I mean, that's the kind of guy you want.
Yep.
So I'm really excited about the more, so as you and I are breaking this down, the more I think about it, the more excited about this class I am.
Oh yeah, when you start to do those sorts of things and you just logically go, you might not completely love everything each individual pick. I thought maybe Anthony Schwartz a little bit high. I thought Togiai maybe a little bit low, things like that. But when you throw it all together and you think about what it's coming into, it makes the class 2 or 3 grades higher. Like to me.
I agree with you. And I was hoping we could reference, because what I think, so when the Browns sign Marvin Wilson, they gave him another a very nice chunk of guaranteed money. So to me, that is a commitment to him, and I would even consider him an additional draft pick.
You paid when you look at I call him the 8th round pick, but when you look at his money, he's being paid like a 6th round pick. Like that's where the guaranteed money adds up. We got a great offer here from Ed. You know what? I'm telling you, Ed, I will hit you up if I am ever, if I come back into Columbus. I'm down in the Athens area. I know Nick is up closer to Cleveland. But we are planning to I know I'm making at least one appearance at games this fall.
Absolutely.
So we'll see what and when we can happen. But I think that's it for us this week. We hit everything top to bottom. I think this is a great show. I'm going to go over and edit the title of YouTube right now, see if we can get some more hits over there. I assume, Nick, are you going to pin this video to profile for
Absolutely, I will.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it will be pinned to Nick's profile. It's tweeted out from his, not mine, but like you guys are all here for him anyway. So like, who cares? But so like, we'll be back next Tuesday, 8:00. DMs are open. Hit us up and we'll see you next week.
This is a hell of an inaugural Barking Browns show. Thank you for everyone who's joined. It's been a blast. And I can't wait to do more.
Yep. We'll see you guys next week. Go Browns.